To get us on the move, please visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on iPad, iPhone or BlackBerry. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android and Nokia 920 devices from their respective stores.
You can also interact with our Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android and Windows 8 platforms. If you have a picture or a video to share with us, all you need to do is to download the Channels TV Android application on your device. Simply swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and then follow the instructions to share your report, pictures and videos. Well, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is asking residents of some parts of Ilorin in Kwara State to vacate their residences. The coordinator of NEMA for Abuja Operations Office, Ishaya Chinoko, who led a road walk through the Kwara State capital, appealed to state governments to provide alternative housing for those who might be affected.
All agencies that would usually participate in rescue and emergency operations were represented. Road safety, civil defense, youth corps members, the NEMA officials and other interested parties in disaster management on a road walk along Ibrahim Taiwo Road in Ilorin. Some of the streets visited were Obbo Road, Wahab Folawiyo and Ahmadu Bello Way, where leaflets warning residents to relocate from riverbanks were distributed. At a workshop which followed, the NEMA coordinator enumerated some of the reasons for flooding.
All actions to mobilize the impact of floods hinge upon awareness by stakeholders and communities at risk. Ignorance of floods risk encourage occupation of floodplains and abuse of town planning regulation. In the event of floods, lack of awareness of risk can result in failure to heed to warnings by relevant agencies.
A special advisor to the Governor on Emergency and Relief Service, Abdulaziz Ibrahim, gave assurance that affected residents would be appropriately attended to.
Floods can destroy life, can destroy property. So in that essence, government having asked them to vacate their places of abode because they are too near to the waterway. So the government is trying to compensate them. So relocate them and compensate them.
Whether lessons on the walk are adopted in the state will be seen in the coming weeks.
The ill-fated Associated Airlines plane took off with a faulty engine from Lagos. This was revealed in a report filed from the preliminary findings of the Accident Investigation Bureau probing the crash of October 3rd. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, Commissioner in charge of Accident Investigation, Captain Mukhtar Usman, says the investigations conducted on the cockpit voice and flight data recorders of the aircraft shows that the faulty engine was noticed shortly before takeoff.
The October 3rd air crash involving Associated Airlines, which was conveying the remains of the late governor of Ondo State, Dr. Olusegun Agagu, is one that has raised questions about safety in the nation's airspace. However, the Accident Investigation Bureau told a news conference that the Bureau is committed to unraveling the cause of the crash.
The wind was actually calm, and we don't believe that the weather was a factor in this particular crash. Approximately 4 seconds after engine power was advanced to commence the takeoff roll, those are some of the findings that I'm reading out now from what we found out in the recorders. The crew received an automated warning from the overboard computer voice, which consisted of 3 chimes, followed by takeoff flaps. That was repeated 3 times. This is a configuration warning that suggests that the flaps were not in the proper position for takeoff. And there is some evidence that the crew may have chosen not to use the flaps for takeoff. The first evidence that the crew indicated that there was a problem with the takeoff was immediately following the 80 knots call. So when that call was made, that was indication of a problem. The first officer asked if the takeoff should be aborted approximately 12 seconds after the 80 knots call.
Preliminary reports indicate that the right engine of the plane was not working properly. Captain Usman announced the focus of the investigation, which will form the thrust of the final report.
The investigation is focusing on the following. 1. Mechanical and engine control issues related to the right engine and the right engine propeller systems. 2. The oral warning relating to the auto feather and the flap settings required for takeoff. 3. Takeoff configuration issues with respect to flap settings. 4. Crew decision making and training with respect to the proceeding with the flight despite concerns regarding the aircraft's suitability for flight. 5. When and how the number 2 engine, that is the right engine, we refer them to number 1 and number 2, fire handle was either pulled or how it came off. It looked like it was pulled. 6. The standard operating procedure with respect to the continuing of a takeoff roll despite continuous automated voice warnings of both takeoff flaps and auto feather when there was ample time to abort the takeoff.
Flight 361, belonging to Associated Airlines, with 20 passengers on board, crashed 31 seconds after takeoff from the Murtala Mohammed Airport, killing 15 of its occupants.
Now, the Federal Capital Territory Police Command has assured the residents has assured residents that every measure has been put in place to ensure a safer Salah celebration. The Police Commissioner, Mr. Femi Ogunbayode, however, urged the residents to report any suspicious movements within their vicinity.
Get involved in politics. Those are the words of peer leaders at the just concluded One Young World Summit in South Africa, as many countries around the world, including Nigeria, go through the processes of election and governance. Ahead of next year's summit in Dublin, Ireland, the delegates, all under 30 years, expressed hope that the government representation will be more tangible at such dialogue sessions as the Johannesburg summit. Our South Africa correspondent, Betty Dibia, reports.
In today's world of protest power, clicktivism, and a very vibrant global debate platform in cyberspace, who says the youths are not interested in politics and governance?
Our generation will inherit a society built by others unless we take an active role in envisioning and shaping our future. What is your vision for your country in 2040? What is your blueprint for change? How can you think impact?
Is the United Nations relevant, obsolete, or not sure? Please vote now.
The delegates, all under 30, also had an opportunity to rate the major global institutions with regard to their relevance and other parameters. Only the World Health Organization got top marks in their views.
The heads of global institutions should engage with One Young World ambassadors and attend the 2014 summit in Dublin. Agree or disagree? Vote now.
Get involved and don't be used. Ashish Damle, 26, from India, got elected as a councillor in his local municipality at 22. He's still active.
Today, youngsters on Facebook do write, I hate politics. But I want them to say that I will change politics. This can make a big difference. So let's take up a challenge. Let's be a responsible youth and let's be a part of politics. Jai Hind.
In line with the former UN Secretary General's call for them to keep talking to their political leaders, I asked, what would you say to world leaders if you had to stand before them today?
Principles like self-determination to take precedence over principles of sovereignty. Maybe it's time for equality to take precedence over profit, and for a world to be more human-oriented than power or money-oriented.
young people are not taken seriously in the continent of Africa.